Ant-Man.
Suddenly piece yourself back together now. What's your vision?
Before I go ahead and start this reaction / review, this video will contain spoilers. So if you do not want spoilers to the film Ant-Man, if you haven't seen it yet, then just exit this video now. Really? Did you guys leave already? Okay. So my initial reaction to this movie was, it was awesome. Like, honestly, I had a lot of fun with it, and I didn't really see too much that I thought was a problem. I'm hearing some people saying that the plot was like, it would cut back and forth, or they felt it was disorganized. I felt the story was perfectly linear. Like, it's perfectly easy to follow. Like, the beginning, Scott Lang gets out of prison and he goes with his friends who help him out. It's by Michael. He's played by Michael Pena, his best friend Luis, and basically he's just trying to go straight, and he's trying to find a job, and he wants to provide for his daughter. That's it. His ex-wife or his ex-girlfriend. I don't think they made that clear, but he wants to pay child support, and otherwise the wife won't let him see the daughter, Cassie, who is important if you guys keep up with the Marvel comics. But anyway, let's forget about that for a second. So he gets out of prison, and he's having trouble finding work because it's like nobody wants to hire him because he was a felon. Like, they find out that he had a felony on his record, and they essentially just throw his resume out. So so he ends up lying, and he's working at was it Baskin Robbins, or was it 31? It was an ice cream shop. I'm thinking DQ. It wasn't DQ. I forgot already. Fuck it. It wasn't. I think it was Baskin Robbins, and so he's working there. He gets fired, and he's down in the dumps. And he and his friend Luis had told him, "Hey, we have a job, which is we're gonna steal some stuff from an old guy." The old guy being Hank Pym. And at first he says no, but now he's feeling like he needs to make some money quick in order to help provide for his daughter. So he decides to do it. They break in. It's a really cool break-in scene. Like, it was pretty awesome the way Scott Lang broke in and he stole everything. And he gets in, and they're thinking that there's going to be gold, jewelry, some valuables that they can take and sell. But all that there is the Ant-Man suit. And Scott Lang freaks out. He's like, it's just a motorcycle suit. I thought that was funny. Everybody kind of had a chuckle at that, because he's like, oh, it's just a motorcycle suit. And so I guess he's upset, and he's like, damn it, this was a bust. So he just steals the suit anyway. And then later on, like, you know, and then this is essentially when we start to get to the core of the story. Because now Scott Lang has the Ant-Man suit. He goes and he's trying it on, and he sees that it looks good on him. I guess he was trying to just check himself out, use it maybe, as he said, like a motorcycle suit. And he accidentally activates the switch, and Hank Pym starts talking to him through the helmet. He's telling him this is going to be a trial by fire, and he freaks out. He just loses his fucking mind, and he returns the suit, and as he's escaping, the cops show up, and he's arrested. And I thought that was funny, because he's being essentially, he's got his hands up, and he's like, no, I didn't steal anything. I was just returning something that I stole. And you see his face just go, fuck. Like, it was just the most ridiculous, the most ridiculous situation ever, and it was funny. This movie is way funny. Like, honestly, it was like, honestly, I think it could have been classified as a comedy. Like, if it wasn't a heist movie, you could have said it was a comedy movie. So then we start getting into it, and Hank Pym visits him in jail. He's pretending to be his lawyer. And so he tells him, okay, you can go back to your cell and await further instructions, or I'll leave right now and you won't hear from me again. And he's like, okay, I'll work with you. So the ants show up, they deliver the Ant-Man suit, he puts it back on, he shrinks, and then he goes for a ride on the flying ants. And he wakes up, because he's freaking out, and he passes out, and he wakes up in Hank Pym's house. And he's being guarded by Hope Van Dyne, which is Hank's daughter. So anyway, he starts telling him that the guy, his assistant, he's now the CEO of Pym Industries, or Pym Tech, or whatever it was called, and he discovered the Pym particle, which allows them to shrink and grow. Actually, it goes both ways. But so basically the core of the story is they can't have this guy Darren Cross. He becomes Yellow Jacket. They don't want to mass produce the Ant-Man suit or the Yellow Jacket suit, because when Darren Cross develops it, he calls it the Yellow Jacket. And basically, they don't. Hank Pym doesn't want his technology being used for the military, and that's the whole story. Basically, get in, destroy all of the data and information, all this data that the scientists have, and all of that. Destroy it, and then destroy the prototype suit. And that's it. That's all they're trying to do. They're essentially just trying to wipe the slate clean and make sure that nobody uses the Pym particle, the shrinking technology. That's it. That's the story. So the story was perfectly linear. I didn't have any problems with it. A lot of people seem to have had problems with it. It was very easy to follow. Some people also said that it was too dramatic because there was some parallels between Hank Pym and Hope Van Dyne and Scott Lang and his daughter Cassie. And I thought that it was fairly appropriate. I didn't feel like it was too over the top. I thought that the little girl was adorable. Scott goes to the birthday party and he gives her this ridiculous little rabbit, and it's the most hideous looking rabbit ever. And the little girl's like, "It's so ugly. I love it." It was funny. The little girl was adorable. She was a pretty good actress. I liked her. And so you have like family drama in it, and one thing that I absolutely loved about this film is that it did not take itself too seriously. This film, it had a way of drawing you in, and then it pulled back and showed you, look, this is ridiculous. And it was just the most hilarious way to go about it. Oh, I had so much fun with it. For example, here's a spoiler. Scott and Darren Cross, they're in the Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket suit, respectively, and they're fighting. And they're fighting inside of a sealed suitcase that's falling out like from a mile up, and it's falling straight down to the earth. They had fallen out of a helicopter, and inside of the suitcase, they're jumping around, and inside the suitcase there's all this other stuff. There's an iPhone, there's like a wallet, that sort of thing, and Ant-Man crashes into the iPhone button. And Siri comes on, and Darren Cross just screams, "I'm gonna disintegrate you!" And Disintegrate by The Cure comes on, and they're essentially fighting to The Cure. And then you see them, and there's this it was kind of funny, but they're still kind of like locked in a life or death battle. Yellow Jacket's blasting them with proton particles. He's frying everything that it comes into contact with them. Scott Lang is jumping around, like he's just doing his best to avoid it. And it seems like a life or death situation, and then all of a sudden, we go from inside this suitcase where the death battle is occurring, and you pull out, and we're seeing the suitcase falling mid-air, and it's falling to the ground, and you can barely make out the sound of The Cure from the suitcase. So it goes from a life or death battle where you're like, oh shit, he's about to fucking get blasted, he's gonna die, and then it pulls out and you're watching essentially a suitcase falling from the sky with muted music coming from it, and just the juxtaposition was so hilarious. Everybody just laughed in the theater, and like the way they did that, and the train fight scene, oh my god, that was so hilarious. This movie did a good job of setting up its action sequences, and then pulling back and showing you, look, it's not just a life or death battle, but this is funny. This is what's going on from a third person's view is funny, and I love that so much. And so this movie, I had a lot of fun with it. It's a good standalone, while at the same time that it's part of a bigger universe. At this point, we all know that the Marvel universe is huge, but there's a scene where Ant-Man goes to the Avengers facility, the one that we saw at the Avengers Age of Ultron, and he's there to infiltrate and steal what is it called? A computer piece. I forget what it was called, but they use it to disable they're going to use it to disable the Pym Industries. So he actually fights in Avenger. And for those of you who don't know already, the Avenger was Anthony Mackie, was the Falcon, and he fights him, and it was a pretty cool fight scene. The fuck? I did not notice him. So it was a pretty good. Yeah, he's wearing the cone because we just got him neutered. We got the girl. We got Macy spayed also. So yeah, I did not notice him come in here. Anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, we actually see Avengers Facility, and we see an Avenger, and there's a battle with an Avenger, and the scene is like 2 minutes. Eventually, he gets the part, and they go back, and we're back with the Ant-Man crew, and the Ant-Man crew. And we're back, and it still feels like an Ant-Man movie. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is just this is getting shoehorned into the Avengers for this is just a movie to preview Civil War. So it's a good standalone. It was funny. I liked the story. It cements itself as part of the universe, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this film. What else? Oh, some Easter eggs. Avengers Facility. There's two. They go back to the two. What do you call them? Post-credit scene. There's the mid-credit scene. The mid-credit scene is you see Hank Pym, Michael Douglas, and he's taking his daughter Hope, and he takes her to the basement, and he shows her to a secret room, where inside is an incomplete uniform, and the uniform has wings and all that, and he tells her, "My wife and I, the Wasp." Janet Van Dyne actually made an appearance in this film. We didn't get to see who she was, though. I don't know, all that. But anyway, he tells her, we were constructing this as a new suit for her, but he's like, I think it's time that you had it. And Hope Van Dyne's like, finally. And I guess this means that we're going to get a Wasp movie, or the Wasp is going to make an appearance at a future film. It might even be Civil War. Who knows? We know that Ant-Man is coming out. That's the second post-credit scene. The second post-credit scene is Captain America and Falcon. They're in a basement somewhere, and we see Bucky. We see the Winter Soldier, and he's trapped. His steel arm, his arm is trapped in a vice, and he can't move. And they have him trapped there. Falcon says, "Let's call Tony," and Captain says, "We can't because of the Accords." And I guess the second scene, the second post-credit scene, Kevin Feige confirmed that it's straight out of Civil War. Like that scene is going to be in Civil War. And anyway, so they're like, how do we get him out of this? And Falcon says, I know a guy. And they're calling in the Ant-Man. And so we get that. Oh, another Easter egg that I loved, Spider-Man. They mentioned Spider-Man. They don't call him Spider-Man, but at the end of the Ant-Man film, this technically takes place after the mid-credit scene, but before the post-credit scene. Or no, this takes place after the post-credit scene, because Falcon says, "I know a guy," and then at the end of Ant-Man, before the post-credit scenes, Ant-Man's friend Luis says, "Oh, I got a tip that somebody's looking for you. That it's the Falcon. The Falcon is looking for Ant-Man." And there's a scene where because this is a funny shtick in the movie where my cousin's ex-girlfriend works for this guy, and she told this guy, and he told my cousin, and my cousin told me, kind of like this whole roundabout thing of retrieving information. And he says, yeah, my cousin, we were at an art exhibit, he told me that blah blah blah, they were looking for the Falcon, blah blah blah. And essentially the Falcon meets with a journalist, and he tells her, I'm looking for a guy. And the journalist looks at Anthony Mackie and he says, I know all kinds of guys. I know a guy who does this. I know a guy who does this. And then she says, I know a guy who swings on webs and climbs up walls. Spider-Man right there. And then Anthony Mackie says, no, I'm looking for a guy who shrinks. And so that was it. So this movie was a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. I hope you guys check it out. So I hope go into it. Like people are saying that it's a kind of a miss for Marvel, that it's its first miss. I disagree. I think it was fun. I think you guys will have fun. So just go into it with an open mind, and I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.